What's going on, dear viewers? This is your gracious host, Kaine Walker, and I'm back by popular demand for a full review of the latest travesty to disgrace the small screen. Given the overwhelmingly positive reception to my commentary on the discourse surrounding it, I figured, hey, why not just rip the band-aid off and give the people something to really rally behind? So here goes nothing. Once more for Netflix's Devil May Cry, this is Kaine Walker's complete Dread Quest in review.
Sweet dreams.
Episode 1. We open to the chilling ambience of the Vatican City. Nothing obscene so far, a lot of beautiful sights, ominous choir music, and beautifully detailed drawings of sculptures. And though it may not be perfect, the art team for this show deserves no ire whatsoever. Then enter the rapid footsteps of Black Ops mercenaries who mercilessly gun down the guards on staff, and here we run into an immediate issue. Why is the Vatican guarded by men in plate mail instead of one like who just dropped a 10 kill streak with no hit markers? You'd think these ancient and precious relics would be worth that. Tradition and ornamentation be damned. But this is just the start of one of the major problems in this show, with everyone needing to be stupid in order for the plot to progress. More on that later. Next, our main antagonist enters the scene as our gunmen loot the place with an oh so original, well, this is awkward. I didn't realize the heist had such a specific dress code. And here I came in my Easter best. As you can see, very Marvel, very Reddit, and we get another trend we see in a lot of supposed mature action cartoons where everyone swears every 5 seconds and puts way too much emphasis on the delivery, like they hype themselves up in the mirror before saying it. What the fuck is that thing? It's rabbit? I don't care what it is. Kill it. And that would be a smart plan, seeing as they killed everyone else on sight, but for this guy, they hesitate. Why? You have no incentive to let him keep breathing. Why haven't you shot him yet? It gets worse as they let him give his idiotic speech about Americans. The most dependable of your species. Anything that doesn't fit your narrow understanding, you shoot, bomb, or burn without hesitation. He goes on to reveal that there's a more valuable treasure, the Force Edge, Sword of the Demon Knight Sparda. Ironic, isn't it, that such a holy place would house the most powerful weapon of hell? Then again, hell, as you call it, has always been the true heart of human religion. You can curb the worst of your savageries only through collective fear and hatred of another world. My world. And then we find out the organization he paid for this heist is called Rant. That is important. But a couple of stupid things happen here. Never mind the fact that our 4 dim-witted soldiers of fortune just let this guy arm himself. He reveals that they were there to steal the relics they were bagging up earlier for a mere 2.5 million. One of them goes, wait, how do you know the price we were offered? I was the one who offered it. Meaning he sent them there. And I'm thinking, why? I don't mean sneaking into the Vatican to take the Force Edge. I mean this entire damn rigmarole of hiring these guys in the first place. If they're not here, nothing changes. The story tries to use the reveal that he's the client for this heist as justification for continued hesitation, but that requires ignoring the hesitation that came before when they had no reason prior to let him live. The guy literally says, you talk a lot for a rabbit. Take what you want, long as you still pay Rampart for this operation. And this is when I realized no matter how bad you think the show is without having watched it, the full context always makes it 1,000 times worse. You mean to tell me a private Black Ops mercenary outfit is out here letting dudes try before they buy, and he didn't have to pay them up front just so we can get this scene where this guy tries to spare him just to get fucked on seconds later? So as you may have guessed, they all die, and we get the guards on staff to come in and stand around as he gives another speech. Here we stand together on the threshold of a new age, the age of the demon. This world is about to become much,
much.
Larger. Well, not for you. And then he blows up the Vatican. So, like, why wasn't the opening scene just him stealing the sword, sounding the alarm, killing the guards on staff, and then blowing up the Vatican? Hell, you could even still have the speech about the new age of demons or whatever the hell. Why go through the trouble? My only guess is to force the hell out of his speech about Americans and Christianity. But why couldn't he just be working on intel about Rampart needing Force Edge for themselves, and he could just be the guy intercepting them for a more organic conflict? Maybe they try to shoot him immediately, but it doesn't affect him because he's just that powerful. And while that's happening and bullets are bouncing off of him because he has a force field or something akin to what Virgil had in DMC3, he gets to have his speech still because nothing affects him. He gets to take this moment less seriously than a normal person would, but without the dumbass caveat of him hiring them, because as it stands, there was literally no point. Bros, we are 4 minutes into this half-hour episode. I'm dying. Next scene, we open to a woman pushing a baby carriage. She bumps into a guy who is rude, not actually uncommon in a major city. You see a blue demon, fans know him as Plasma from DMC1, and I will say, they kind of gave Plasma a little bit of a buff here because in DMC1, as he shapeshifts, he still appears as a blue blob with a giant red eye, but this makes sense, so I would be willing to let something like this slide. A shapeshifting demon, you know, that works. He absorbs the baby and takes its place as he shapeshifts into it. Not bad so far, like I said, actually. Good setup for tension, but I want you to pay attention to every display of capability in this show because as usual, you are punished for paying attention. We find out in a moment that Plasma is working with 2 other demons who look like redesigned prides from DMC3 to make the baby's rattle roll into an alleyway where she is obviously going to be ambushed, and we are introduced to our hero, Near Dante, voiced by Johnny Young Bosch, where he says, "Hey look, the Three Stooges came out to play." And stop right there. Did Dante just make a motherfucking pop culture reference? And an outdated one at that. And what are those pistols? Chrome M9 Berettas? Where's Ebony and Ivory? Hell, where's Rebellion? And just look at his character design. They actually took notes from Reboot Dante. Are they kidding? Look how they massacred my boy. These regular ass pistols with a max capacity of 30 rounds combined have a limitless supply for some reason. And then he yells jackpot because Dante just says that whenever now. And of course it wouldn't be complete without the word jackpot being inscribed on his bullets. Why? Who's gonna see it? Why would it matter? Regardless, credit where credit is due. This is a perfectly serviceable action scene, terribly adequate. But even that is ruined with more Reddit cringe as he says, the way this usually goes is I do that, then drop a killer one-liner. But I'm drawing a complete blank right now. This never happens to me, I swear. And all the real DMC fans groaned collectively as he continued. Okay, wait, I got one. Pretend I just shot that guy. Bang! Man, Skeletor did not hold up since the 80s. Not my best work, but you get it. And if it seems like I'm talking for a long time reading the dialogue, it's because everyone is a fucking windbag. Dante is literally a guy who hates anyone that talks more than him or at least is annoyed by it. He literally says it in DMC3. This shit is painful. Man, how did they fuck this up? His aura points have been reduced to 0 and the duel is over. Are you so afraid of someone daring to be cool on purpose that you beat everyone to the punch and just start clowning yourselves out of timidity? Newsflash, assholes. The key to being cool is believing that you are. It literally doesn't matter what you say as long as you deliver. I've seen people defend this by saying this is a younger Dante, but goddammit, how much younger? He's 18 to 19 years old in DMC3, and even if he was older then, it still wouldn't be an excuse to rewrite a character's whole personality. That's not how psychic development works. It's revealed after that train wreck that he was sent on a job to investigate sightings and exterminate demons in the area, where he starts running his fucking mouth to a civilian about demons and demon hunting. Oh my god. This show is a narrative fucking minefield. With each scene, the DMC franchise gets closer and closer to amputee status. 100% disability. Demons are what gothic horror enthusiasts would know as a poorly kept secret, meaning that it's public knowledge, but it's forbidden knowledge. Knowledge that makes the wrong kinds of people pay attention to you. So there is incentive to keep it hidden and out of the eyes of the public, because knowing it can cause great distress. But here this fucker is slowly unraveling the mind of this poor woman after this traumatic experience. What, those guys? Those were just low-level demons. God help us all. Plasma is still in hiding, then attacks Dante. Somehow the lady doesn't see her baby's now a demon, even though there's roaring and grunting right behind her. She even turns around. Maybe she has astigmatism. But she sees Dante pull a gun on her baby though. Excellent. Like, is there not a more plausible way to write this? And of course she freaks out and hits him with her purse, bringing him to his knees like the fake he is, and sprints away, where she's so fast he can't keep up. More on that later. And I hope you have health insurance, because the characterization in this show is a compound fracture. And now we've made it to our title sequence where they play Limp Bizkit's Rollin' instead of anything we'd actually want to hear as DMC fans. Devils Never Cry, anyone? And don't tell me about that trash-ass spoken word remix. I want the original. Listen to this.
Still searching for a second chance, but you will never become a man. My chosen culture makes me stronger. Their life that clears the hunger. Feeling a quest for life until the end of judgment nights. Stepping forth the cure for soul's demise. Reap the tears of the victim's cries. Yearning more to kill the sufferer of a demon as I put it under. Kill before a time to kill them all. Pass down the righteous law. Servant justice that dwells in me. I flip comes sorry, the I can't stop. The I can't stop. The I can't stop.
We open to a news broadcast detailing the events of the Vatican terrorist attack when... who the fuck is that? That's not the rabbit, and that's not force edge. Listen, call this a nitpick, but there is no need to force tension with a poorly done silhouette reveal when your material is Vatican terrorist attack. Anyway, after footage of the Vatican City paying its respects to the victims, we get political commentary, and at this point I'm gonna snap. This is where a more sensible viewer would cut this shit off and go play the HD collection for the 100th time to cleanse their spirit. But seeing as I'm clearly insane, I'm gonna do a play-by-play of the full extent of the commentary and then shred this scene to pieces. The radical left is already using this to push their agenda that America should step down from our role as quote-unquote global policemen. But as the greatest country on earth, we have a moral responsibility to lead. Not to mention, the surveillance image clearly shows some sort of weaponized wingsuit. That is not any US military technology that I know. Exactly! With tech like that, it was probably the Russians. Now, the government, the corporatists that own it, and their loyal propagandists in the news media want you to blame the Russians. How stupid do they think we are, folks? Huh? This was a strike against God himself, carried out by a sophisticated network of terrorist demons from hell!
Terrorist demons. I don't... You hear about this? I think I missed that one in Sunday school. You ever heard of a terrorist demon, Phil?
Sure, my ex-wife. It's like unpacking a body bag, and it's all ass cheeks. Why the fuck is political commentary of any kind anywhere near an IP like DMC? This is exactly why I always say escapism is dead. There is no longer a place where immersion is a creator's top priority. There always has to be an angle. And oh look, they do the thing where they make fun of the kooky conspiracy theorist that turns out to be right. What the fuck do they mean by this? There's no way they keep doing this by accident. In the hands of a competent writer, somebody like H.P. Lovecraft, This would be seen as a completely expected narrative tool to establish the nature of why things like this are a poorly kept secret. Supernatural occurrences happen directly in people's faces, yet they just hand wave it off. But if you know anything about who wrote this show, you know that this is completely sincere, and the way this is meant to work is done completely by accident. And if you've been paying attention, you know that you're in for an excruciating revelation. Much like Rabbit's speech given at the Vatican, you'll know that the whole show is just a Trojan horse for cultural commentary on the ills of the American government, complete with left-leaning ideals and all the favoritism it brings with it. Moving on, we enter the White House and are introduced to Black Science Man, and he gives us the news that the attacks were perpetrated by what appears to be a sophisticated network of terrorist demons. What did I just fucking say? You couldn't make this shit up if you tried. It's like only certain people are allowed to be right. Here, it's revealed that Rampart is not private and actually owned by the US government. This can't be serious. It makes us look bad enough that our Rampart boys were in there. What? Why the fuck would our government let random ass guys contract them to perform a heist at the Vatican? Don't answer that. What kind of cred does the rabbit even have? More on that later. Black Science Man has a name apparently, given to us by the Vice President, aka the real antagonist, telling us that Dr. Fisher is one of the foremost theoretical physicists in the world. Conveniently, they were able to test demon DNA, which shouldn't be possible, but is because the plot demands. And in schleps yet another problem with this show. Any level of mysticism or enchantment is reduced to the science, because having it be an unfathomable force wasn't good enough. We can't spoon feed the audience with that. So we have to tell you, demons, since we're using the colloquial term. Stop. No, you idiots. It is a technical term with a definition. Malevolent supernatural entity. How the hell can you sit there on your towering horse atop the moral high ground inside your inflated fucking head while you demonize humans and humanize demons? Pro tip. You can't call everyone fascist and use demons, bug people, and monsters to represent minority groups. Why must every inherently evil race in all of fiction be reduced to a sympathetic analog for the victim class? Look at these fucking pictures. Does that face look relatable? I'm sure he's real trustworthy. If I saw that moving in next door, I'd break my fucking lease. I'd let my kids be babysat by a rabid pit bull before I let them anywhere near that fucking thing.
Get that ugly
Demon.
freak away from me.
Demons, since we're using the colloquial term, are related but separate evolutionary branches from Homo sapiens. They are natives of another universe, one that exists parallel to our own. This is not how the lore explains it in canon. The demon realm is not another universe. Universes are different. It is another dimension, meaning it is a separate metaphysical plane altogether that exists in our same universe. Humans and demons were once of the one unified realm and born from the same darkness, chaos. When eventually they were split into separate realms, with the realm of light being ours and the realm of darkness being the demons. This is an origin of spontaneous generation, not bioevolution. And the butchering continues with him stating,
My current hypothesis is that one of our common ancestors found their way into this other universe, where they adapted and became stronger, able to survive the more hostile environment there.
and they evolved from us into three-headed drakes, cricket men, and cockroach people. You don't have magic to bail you out anymore. At least try to make this shit plausible. A participant questions, You mean hell? Just to be clear, the hostile environment you're talking about is hell. To which Black Science Man smugly replies, Mythology exists to explain reality. Why do you think every culture on Earth tells the same stories about demons and the underworld? We've discovered an interdimensional rift that acts as a bridge between the two universes. However, it has been blocked for millennia by a field of quantum interference. Naturally occurring disruptions in this field sometimes create what one might term portals, which allow lesser demon types to enter into our realm. Luckily, these portals aren't stable enough to accommodate larger, more complex molecular structures. Right. Which means the big demons are stuck on the other side. Well, isn't that just convenient? They ask who he works for, and he reveals that he works for Darkcom, aka Dark Realm Command, an independent dimensional security firm, funded by our real antagonist, the Vice President. Someone bursts in to deliver a disc showing the footage of the rabbit's rampage from the perspective of our mercenaries from earlier. This would be cool if not for the prior explanation of flaws and the fact that the rabbit left a message in the footage that he definitely did not leave earlier, because we saw everything that happened, the entire scene from start to finish. But still, in this footage he says,
"The gates of hell will be open soon enough to any sapien wishing to join the celebration. If you want to catch a rabbit, find the hunter. Hope to see you all there."
and then he stabs the guy like we saw before. This is them hoping you forgot the previous scene and trying to make the rabbit appear more clever than he really is. They do this a lot for this villain, where the story just works in his favor, but then he pretends it was his plan all along. How would he even have known there were cameras in their helmets anyway? He doesn't know their loadouts. He's not the guy in the armory issuing their gear, is he? Even the things the show does well, it does poorly. Because admittedly, this is a cool scene in this recording. It just never happened. The president chimes in. "My God. All the last guy had to worry about was Saddam Hussein. I already got bioorganic weapons I gotta deal with. And now you're telling me there's demons crawling up out of hell?" To which the vice president says,
"You heard the doctor. This is no longer a matter of religion. It's science.
"Fucking of course it is.
The word of the Lord has been proven beyond dispute. Hell is real, and the holy war is here."
A few things. Saddam Hussein. A figure that hasn't been relevant since 2006, so not only are we dealing with politics, but outdated politics at that. No idea the science in this show involved archaeology. I prefer to leave old shit buried. They obviously figure out that the rabbit is looking for a demon hunter, and it's here that I become confused. Have you always known about demons or not? Because they made it seem like this was all new information, and now suddenly you have a montage of demon hunters, of which there are very few in the lore, being brought in for questioning. Even if we bring up Fortuna from DMC4, that's still only one city with an order of knights meant for that purpose. And they're a special case since the church was summoning and creating the demons there. If the vice president was this far ahead of his constituents, why wait this long to address the issue of demons? This setup feels paradoxical. Either demons are new and you're scrambling to react, or they've been around long enough that you've been watching the hunters. You don't get to play both sides. The worst part is that they can still be prepared for demons in general while having the rabbit himself be the surprise. But of course, the story has to appear this disjointed because they need Black Science Man to lore dump all over the audience. Bringing me back to a previous point, if he always knew, it makes him look incompetent, meaning he had to be stupid for this plot to work as well. Next scene, we open at Fred's Diner where our white-haired hero Dante is enjoying his favorite, a strawberry sundae. He gets the number of the waitress who blows him a kiss before he gives a disinterested look just before an oil truck comes barreling through the window and the world slows around him. So as you can see, Dante is faster than the eye can track. So fast that the world moves in inches. He grabs the innocent patrons, throws a guy behind the counter, he's dead, and has just enough time to dive behind said counter with them all just before Virgil strolls in. "Dante, leaving so soon. We have much to catch up on, brother." And then they play his OST from DMC5 because it's the song from the meme. What this show misses is that the creators of DMC use their music as more than just background noise and tailor each track symbolically to character dilemmas, environments, and events. So this track doesn't fit a Virgil from DMC3 who's still struggling to figure out who he is and having an existential crisis, being at war with his own flesh, just like his brother. But just after the reveal, Dante has a flashback and says, "No. You're dead." "Oh, I'm here. In the flesh." What the fuck? Is that plasma? The same plasma that you just showed me being careful, strategic, and stealthy. So this is just trailer bait. Why would such a carefully laid character operate like this? I don't even believe Virgil would do this either. But back to you. Why explore this option over the dozens of them he has around the city? Absorb a guy, go to the diner, and just watch Dante. Follow him until he's alone, and then ambush him. Why assassinate an established character trait for marketing? There wasn't anything else to use? And then Plasma abandons the pointless disguise and flies through an air vent where Dante shoots a ring into the floor and falls through. This is why they should have given him ebony and ivory early, by the way. The head writer of this show clearly knows nothing about guns. More on that later. These look like pretty hard tiles that are reinforced by concrete. 9mm would never be enough to do this. It's the sort of thing only a gun enthusiast would know, but the more meticulous the creator is, the better the story delivers. They should have more pride, is what I'm saying. With ebony and ivory, this problem doesn't exist because they're a pair of sleek, stylish, and enchanted pistols with an infinite supply of supernatural rounds. Who knows what they could penetrate? The chrome Berettas are normal pistols that he never reloads. Well, there was that one time. More on that later. Footsteps echo in the garage as Dante hunts his prey, pistols up. And then they cut away from the action. Why do shows do this? We're forced into another scene just like a Skyrim NPC interaction. Why? I guess I have no choice but to tell you we cut to Darkcom performing torture interrogations on the demon hunters they corralled earlier. There's Lucia from DMC2 for some reason, highlighting a problem we'll get to. And then our Constantine reference says in his signature Cockney accent,
A rabbit demon, huh? Yeah. Maybe I've heard of something like that.
They give him a smoke and he continues.
I know a guy who's a broker for demon hunters and mercenaries. A hustler who feeds off the bottom of the bottom feeders. Last time I saw him, told me how he set up this job for a talking bunny. I didn't give him much thought, coming from a serial liar and a drunk.
But he's a broker for demon hunters. Confirmed. Would it really be that far-fetched? Like, I know they're trying to add some flavor text here, but it doesn't work. Like all of their attempts at it. After the intel, we see the Vice President and Black Science Man conclude that if they corroborate the story, it means the White Rabbit was operating there in New York. So we're not in Red Grave City. We're in New York. In a show critiquing Bush-era politics, I dread to conclude the logical chain of this foreshadowing. Please, dear God, just don't do what I think you're going to do in Season 2. A SWAT team kicks in the door of a nightclub. The man in question runs for it. Pushing through the partying crowd toward the back exit, he makes a good chase, but he's caught by an opening door and arrested. Not a bad gag. Pretty funny for him, actually. He wakes up in Darkcom custody where he's threatened with crackling jumper cables, to which he says,
Before we start, you should know I'll tell you anything you ask me about any subject.
He pushes his luck before relenting, and we get to the real exposition. Vice President says,
Tell us about the White Rabbit. That's what this is about? Yeah, I know what you mean. He showed up in my office with a job that needed expediting. And that didn't seem strange to you? A 6-foot talking rabbit. In my line of work, that's a slow Tuesday. Some demons making noise over on the west side that he wanted clipped, calling too much attention to themselves and whatnot. Why? What did it matter to him? You know, I saw the price he was offering and I must have forgot to ask. One thing about it that struck me as funny. He had a particular demon hunter he wanted me to hire. Wouldn't take anyone else. Who? Kid named Dante. Sweet kid. Bit of a troubled past, though. You know how it is. Dad not around, mom and twin brother brutally murdered by demons, you know, that sort of thing.
First off, while I do enjoy the VA's performance, this is hardly how I pictured Enzo going from his portrayal in the manga, but his personality is more or less accurate. Where they go worse is the hand-waving delivery of Dante's backstory. They decided to have him believe Virgil is dead when that's not how it's played DMC3 until the end, and they made Sparta a deadbeat despite having a full family portrait of him in his mortal form in the games. But why? Is his father being dead not enough? He has to be absent throughout his life too? No strong present fathers allowed? Anyway, the Vice President and Black Science Man conclude that Dante is the same hunter the rabbit told them to find. They open his file and we find more meta humor. corny joke atmosphere, refers to his missions as games. It's crap like this that undercuts the gravity of what they want us to believe are serious situations when they should just play it straight. Here, all the humor comes from Enzo's personality, as it should, because it's character driven and natural without feeling shoehorned. He makes you believe this isn't the first time he's been in a situation like this. But no, they can't help themselves. Dante is such a quirky chungus. By the way, I want you to remember this line in his file right here. More on that later. They cite that he's recorded as going AWOL from 5 missions because he got bored. And this is where I step out of the scene and ask, why in the blue fuck is there a recorded database for what are supposed to be black market services? Names and faces? How the hell do they have mugshots with a height chart for Dante? When did they bring him in? Why is this possible, and who would be stupid enough to publish something like this? There's a reason they meet after dark in the red light district alley bar strip club. Doesn't matter, we're snapped back to the fight with Plasma. Dante outmaneuvers him easily, as he should, when Plasma tries to take his aim. Dante quips and rips shots before defeating Plasma and not finishing him off because Plots decided that he's out of ammo. What? Now? And not any time in the middle? More easily avoidable narrative issues. If only he had his sword. And then suddenly the triggers crumble as well, now at the very end, and no time in the middle. And so the fight concludes. We're thrust back into the scene with Enzo, and I'm going to perform a bit of narrative shorthand because this script is already insanely bloated thanks to the writers of this show. Enzo explains to Darkcom the nature of demons too powerful to cross over to the human realm, even though before it was about them being bigger and not being too powerful. He continues, saying that they have to project their consciousness instead and possess stuff, to which he hypothesizes is what the White Rabbit is, a possessed kid's toy. This is a callback to the DMC3 manga portrayal of the rabbit, in which Dante believed the same when he encountered it, but as usual, that rendition was a different character entirely. What is an adaptation again? But never mind that. Why are they having them give this information? Wouldn't they already know this given the presentation at the White House? It's just like I said earlier. They can't decide whether they know or don't know about demons. The vice president reveals he sent a team to try and capture the White Rabbit, and there was only one survivor, the blonde-haired black guy. Then they ask Enzo about the legend of Sparta and the Force Edge, to which I ask, why the hell would Enzo or anyone else not in the know about his legend to be able to tell this story? And more importantly, why would an organization like Darkcom not know about this already? They try to lampshade that with the vice president skipping over it and saying, I want to know about the sword, but the thing is, the sword is part of the legends. It doesn't matter, because they rush it anyway and cut off the actual retelling since they think it's not important and only want to know about Force Edge. But the thing is, like I said, if he knew the story, he would already know about the sword, wouldn't he? He's supposedly a specialist working with a group with all this insight. Why wouldn't they? Enzo tells them about the separation of the human and demon realms at the hand of Sparta, and tell them about the amulet split between his two sons, to which he says, smells like some millennial bullshit to me. They vomit some technobabble bullshit about the sword being a decoder and the amulets being transmitters for the quantum interference between realms, and wax on about demon technology being more than it appears to be.
Demon technology may look medieval, but their understanding of quantum principles is far more advanced than our own.
Because of course it fucking is. Yet again, demons rule, humans drool. It's not magic, guys. Demons are all heckin' chungus geniuses. And they get the revelation to hunt down Dante, and we cut to the final scene of the episode featuring a hollow DMC5 reference for the member berries, in which Dante dances in what looks like the Dr. Faust hat from the game, and we get a gag of him being bad at video games. Then the episode ends. But that's gonna do it for this one, folks. Right out the gate, we witness a cavalcade of inconsistencies in episode retcons, plot-induced stupidity, and character assassination. I hope you've enjoyed following this analysis as much as I've enjoyed making it, but I've gone on long enough. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, all the YouTube things, and click the links in the description to keep your finger on the pulse of Cosmogoth. This is your gracious host, Kaine Walker, signing off, and I will see you all again next time in episode 2. Peace.